It's a kind of like a trap to think that you've got this good idea and that it's going to go somewhere. Statistically speaking, it probably won't.
That's Jon Yongfook, a bootstrapped SaaS founder and one of the most recognizable people of the indie hackers community. He founded Bannerbear, an image generation software, and was documenting his entire journey of growing it in public up until...
There are parts of the product that are actually identical, and I'm not actually exaggerating. They copy and pasted from my website into their website.
Today you're about to learn what it's really like to try building 12 startups in 12 months.
It's hard to keep that momentum going. I think a lot of people announce it and say, I'm going to do this, and then they realize how difficult it is to actually ship something in a month.
A simple way to balance your time between building a software and marketing it.
The easiest way that you can do a 50-50 product and marketing split is to just...
The most effective ways to do marketing for a bootstrap SaaS and why building the so-called ChatGPT wrappers is a risky business decision.
Building an entire business off the back of it, I think it's risky, and your moat becomes how good are you at marketing.
My name is Tim Solo and you're listening to Ahrefs Podcast.
Ahrefs Podcast.
It's actually pronounced Ahrefs.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Let's do it again. Ahrefs Podcast.
Okay, so I actually look at you as part, or I don't know, maybe a representative of in the hacker community. But to be honest, maybe I kind of fell off a little bit, but I don't feel that the indie hacker community is as active as it was before. What is your impression of that?
I would say so too. That's just my impression, though. I don't really participate on the Indie Hackers website anymore. So I can't really say how active it is. Sometimes I check in now and again, but I don't really participate in any conversations. But yeah, it just feels like either it's become a lot more saturated, or it's more a case of these things come in like waves or like generations. And I think I was just part of this particular generation that had a few people like, Peter Levels and Danny Postma and, people like that. And we're all kind of part of the same generation. And then we all kind of move through this journey together. And we're all aware of each other, but we're not really aware of the sort of like the next generation and the the generations that are coming before us or after us, sorry. So there's probably a very healthy indie hacker generation that's, active and on the Indie Hackers website, but we're just from a different generation, a sort of we're from the sort of like 6 or 7 years ago generation.
Well, one kind of staple, so to say, of Indie Hackers community was 12 startups in 12 months challenge, which you also kind of participated in. Do you see people doing that today, 12 startups in 12 months?
I do. I mean, I see it pop up on Twitter now and again. I see it pop up on the Indie Hackers website.
How many years ago did you do this?
I was doing it in 2018. It's hard to keep that momentum going. I think a lot of people sort of announce it and say, I'm going to do this, and then they realize how difficult it is to actually ship something in a month, let alone then ship multiple things each month. So I haven't really noticed anyone sort of like either get to the end or launch a bunch of things that are interesting and worth following, because it's really hard. It's not just the challenge is not just building the things. The challenge is also getting people to be interested, getting people to to follow, like, what's the next one going to be. That's all really hard. And I would say that it's a combination of those two challenges, like actually building consistently each month, and then also getting people to be interested and follow what you're doing. So I think there are people trying it, but I don't know how successful. I don't know how successful they are because it's a really difficult thing to do, and I wasn't successful at it either. I think I managed to get people interested, yes, but I didn't manage to get to 12. I pretty much burnt out at about number 6.
But would you recommend this to like an aspiring founder? Would you tell them that kind of churning through a bunch of ideas and actually building the MVP and getting it out there is a good strategy, is a good way to find something you want to work on for the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years? Or maybe you would rather just flash them out on a piece of paper, send some emails to your friends, maybe to people like you. Can you help me like comment on those ideas, validate them, and then you kind of do your best judgment to select one, and then you go all in 12 months in that one idea. So what do you think?
I still believe that it's a good framework because it teaches you a bunch of valuable skills. So if you're going to be a founder, if you're going to be a startup founder, number one, you need to know how to build stuff. You need to be able to ship things consistently. I think that's one of the core skills that you need as a founder. The other core skill you need as a founder is you need a bunch of resilience. You need to know when you should fail fast and when something's not working. And you also, there's a lot of sort of underlying kind of lessons that you learn from this framework. Another one is that you're probably not going to knock it out the park on your first try. So I think lots of first-time founders get a little bit too obsessed with their kind of like their first idea. And realistically speaking, it's not your first idea is probably not the one that's going to be the successful one. It's probably going to be more like your 10th or 20th idea. That's the one that's actually going to get some traction and, go somewhere, make some money. And I think, people like the people that we look up to in this community, like Peter Levels, will say the exact same thing. In fact, I think on his Twitter profile, the tweet that he has pinned is something about, here's all the things that I built that never went anywhere. It's like, it's like 100 different things. So the idea it's a kind of like a trap to think that you've got this good idea and it's the kind of the first thing that you're going to build and that it's going to go somewhere. Statistically speaking, it probably won't. So the 12 startups framework is a good way to sort of get you at least moving through a bunch of different ideas. And with each of those ideas, you learn something, you gain a bit more audience, you learn what customers are really looking for. And then down the line, you actually might build something that that does become successful thanks to all these skills that you've learned and all these lessons that you've learned.
I just checked Peter Level's pinned tweet. It says only 4 out of 70 plus projects I ever did made money and grew. Yeah, 4 out of 70. Yeah, that's... Yeah, like when you look at a random person, not necessarily Peter, and you see them being successful with something, you just think they are like, I don't know, super smart or whatever. But like this really puts it in perspective. 4 out of 70 projects. This is crazy.
Yeah. And I think I'd say that out of the people that I know who I would regard as, successful and I want to emulate, okay, there's 1 or 2 people who, they kind of got, either they got lucky or they're super smart and they knocked it out of the park on the first or second try. But I would say the pattern that's most common is that they've all had a bunch of stuff fail, like 20, 30 projects all fail. And then one of them sort of like started taking off.
So Bannerbear, I believe it was born out of those 12 startups in 12 months, right? Was it the kind of the last one in the chain where you said, okay, this is taking off, let me focus on this and stop the challenge? Or did you do anything after it? But then you noticed that Bannerbear is taking off, and you decided that it doesn't make sense to continue the challenge. How did it happen? How did you go from doing the challenge to focusing on the Bannerbear?
It was by the time I launched Bannerbear, it was really not part of the 12 startups framework anymore.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of, yeah, it was, I mean, the backstory, the history lesson is like, yeah, I started 12 startups in 12 months. Around number 6 or 7, I just got completely burnt out. And then I took a few months off, not building anything. And then I learned a few lessons from the 12 startups thing, learned how to ship consistently. There was definitely an area of technology that I was interested in, like playing around with Puppeteer, which is like a browser automation SDK. And yeah, I was just kind of thinking of interesting ways that I could use that. And, I guess through a combination of playing around with technology and seeing what customers would pay for from the 12 Startups Challenge, I had this kind of like beginning of a new idea, which turned out to be Bannerbear. And but at that, when I launched Bannerbear, it wasn't like a 1 month thing. It was like, okay, I think this is a real idea now, and I think I'm gonna just go all in. So yeah, but I would never have got there if it wasn't for going through that whole process in the beginning.
That's interesting. So Bannerbear wasn't one of the projects born during the 12 Startups Challenge, but at the same time, it's kind of you during the challenge, you were sucking in a lot of knowledge, experience, ideas, failures. Then you took a time to rest, which I'm a believer that the brain processes information in the background, even if you're not thinking about those things. Like when you sleep, when you, do random things. And then you got the idea of Bannerbear, and you knew it wasn't like a one-off project, like part of the challenge, but you wanted to focus on it. That's very interesting.
Yeah, because after you launch a bunch of things, and by the way, the 12 Startups Challenge thing, even before that, I had launched a bunch of stuff that maybe some of it was successful, some of it was like completely failed. So, if you look at my portfolio of failed projects, it's probably, I don't know, yeah, it's probably around 20 or 30 things. But, after learning all those lessons, taking a bit of time to reflect, and then somehow stumbling upon this idea, you just get a sense then of like, actually, okay, I think this one actually is a good idea because I know who's the target market. I know I can point to several different use cases, and I know that they would pay for it. I myself think I'm a good fit for this because I have XYZ experience, and I know that other people don't have that experience. And you get a bit more excited about it if it's something that you have good product founder fit, and you know that there's a market out there, and it's just a case of sort of like accessing it. You only really get that feeling after you've launched a bunch of stuff that doesn't have those attributes. Launching things that you're not really excited about, or launching things that kind of anyone could launch, like a lot of these sort of like AI products these days. It's like there's no.
We'll get to that. Don't get ahead of yourselves.
Okay.
We'll get to that. I like the design and branding of Bannerbear. Like when I first noticed you on Twitter, because like one of your tweets was going viral and whatnot, and I went to your website to check out what kind of business you're running, what kind of SaaS you're building. And I was like, wow, this looks really like stylish, interesting. It stands out, because usually when we're talking about, engineers, not necessarily probably indie hackers, but engineers, they kind of don't have an eye for good design, for like visually appealing. They just focus on making this work, but not necessarily making it visually appealing. And what stood out for me is that you had this like distinct bear, and I'm saying distinct because it is designed in a way where you would see it and you would know that's a Bannerbear bear. It's like it's not just random bear illustration; it's yours. So, who did the design for you? Did you do it yourself?
Yeah, we began with so in the beginning, Bannerbear was just me, right? So the design and everything was done by me. I did the first logo, and then I chose the primary color of yellow because I wanted the website to look like it was dripping honey, because bears like honey. That's why. And then after a while, obviously, I hired a designer. I think about maybe like 1.5 years in, around when we were able to afford to hire a small team, I brought a designer on board, and then she actually turned the little bear icon in the logo into an actual character. But I would say that also I took some inspiration from Ahrefs in the beginning, because I think I was browsing around different SaaS websites, startup websites, and everything, looks a bit similar. But then you get to Ahrefs, and it's got this kind of like pixel-ish, or some of it's like pixelated, and then you've got these little characters. Like I think there's like a corgi or something, or like a dog that you have. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I like this. This is different, and it's memorable. And then I just decided that I also want to be different and memorable. I don't want to look like all the other SaaS sites. So it kind of came from there, and then it's I think we've tried to just look a little bit unconventional ever since. But if you actually go into the app, I mean, similar to Ahrefs as well, once you get into the app, it's all conventional, and it's sort of, it's business as usual. But the marketing site is, where we can have a little bit of fun.
So I'm not sure if you were the one who created this, I don't know, call it philosophy of Marketing Week, Coding Week. You even did a website, something like, is it Marketing Week or codingweek.com or something like that?
Yeah.
But I think I saw a tweet from you that you're switching to Marketing Week plus Marketing Week, kind of like all in on marketing lately.
So I'm very proud of that framework. So that was me. I created this. Framework of just doing 1 week of coding and 1 week of marketing, and then you repeat that process.
Genius.
It's genius. I know. It's the thing is, it sounds so simple, but actually, a lot of people get this really wrong. And basically, what the framework is trying to say is you can't ignore marketing. You can't just like build the thing and then keep thinking, oh, if I build this one more feature, then it will be ready to start marketing. And then you just get into this cycle of just build this one more feature, or I just need to make this, I need to get it looking right on mobile browsers or something, or, what the framework is trying to say is that you have to spend as much time doing some marketing as you do building the thing, if you're a solo founder. So this is more for solo founders. Obviously, once your company gets to a certain size, then you have different people to tackle different areas, right? So then it becomes a lot more different. But if you're a solo founder, you need to at least do 50-50, and some might even say you need to do more marketing than building. But just having it 50-50 makes it nice and simple for everyone to understand. As for, am I switching to Marketing Week? I do think that in our case, the product has reached a sort of level of maturity where, yes, maybe there's some new features that I'm going to build this year, and obviously we will, continue to fix bugs and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just a thought. In the back of my mind is like, do I still need to do, 50-50 product and marketing, or should we basically just be going all in on marketing activities for this year?
Building in public, is that part of marketing? I think I saw some
Yeah.
of your tweets that you were considering letting go kind of part of building in public, which is sharing your revenue numbers. You said something about that. But overall, how do you feel about the strategy of building in public? Because you were doing it for so long and you keep doing it.
The easiest way that you can do, um, a 50-50 product and marketing split is to just build features and then talk about them. Talk about them on Twitter, talk about them on your blog, talk about them in your newsletter. And that's at its core, that's all you really need to do the product week marketing week, or sorry, coding week marketing week. And that's building in public. I think we've always been building in public. Where companies always talk about what they're building, and companies often give little previews of what they're building before it's actually launched. So, building in public is not. I don't think it's a really sort of a new concept. It's something that even big companies do, and startups certainly do. Um, where indie hackers maybe take it to a next level is by sharing. I guess it's more like business in public, whereas you're sharing your churn numbers, you're sharing your growth numbers, hitting revenue milestones, um, that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's good to share it when things are going well. When things are not going so well, then it kind of sucks to be business in public. Um, Especially if you've got like a lot of competitors and they're all watching you, then yeah, it's one of those things where if things are going well, then it's a um, there's a lot of benefits to it because I mean you've probably seen this yourself, but anytime someone shares an MRR milestone on Twitter, it gets immediate engagement. People love that type of content. We hit 10K MRR. We hit 20K MRR. 10K MRR in just 1 month. That kind of stuff, people love it. So when things are going well and when you're sharing that with your audience, or not necessarily your audience, when you're sharing that with the community, the indie hacker community, it's really beneficial for you. It gets a lot of engagement. People share your content, they repost it, and then that gets you more. That gets you, ultimately wider distribution. Um, but then you kind of have to, there are some people who just share the good side, uh, you know, hitting milestones, and then there are people like me who are actually, my growth chart is just fully on display for anyone to see, and then I have to kind of take the good with the bad because sometimes things are growing and sometimes things are not. Um, and maybe I'm overthinking that because I probably look at my chart a lot more than anyone else does. But yeah, in my mind, you think that everyone's staring at your growth chart, but actually it's really just me that's looking at it.
So, building in public, you said that essentially one of the fundamentals of marketing is that you build stuff and then you go out and talk about the stuff you've built. You promote the new features, the new benefits, the new jobs to be done, whatever.
Yeah.
This is something we do at Ahrefs a lot. We try to promote everything we build. Obviously, because we want our customers, we want the market know about the new functionality, the new use cases that are available with our platform. But I don't consider that building in public. I actually think that building in public really starts when you share your financials and some company details and hurdles which are not connected with the product, which the fellow founders would also be interested in, even if they're not interested in your product. So I like when you were describing building in public, I immediately had an analogy of how I know boxing and UFC promoters promote the fight, where they do videos of how their fighters are training, how they're visiting their families. But I don't think we can apply that to software, because when you're building the feature and someone would be making video of that progress, you're basically going, grabbing a coffee, sitting in front of your computer and just coding all day.
Yeah.
So there's nothing for people to see there. But financials are always interesting. People always want to know, oh, this project, Bannerbear, I wonder how much he's making. Oh, he's making like this month. What was he making a year ago? Oh, cool. That gives you kind of a lot of food for thought beyond what your product does. So I would think that sharing your financials is what kind of defines building in public.
Yeah.
But then,
I think you're right. I think maybe the definition for me at least has become a little bit more loose over time. But the ideally everyone would be, everyone who wants to participate in this build in public thing, everyone would have transparent financials. But I mean properly transparent. I don't mean only sharing, when you hit 20K MRR, only sharing when you hit 10K MRR. That's sort of like, what's the word? Then you're kind of like cherry picking what to share. And that's, obviously that's beneficial to you, but it's not really beneficial to anyone else. It's just sort of like, it's just a throwaway piece of engagement. But what I think the original Indie Hackers website got really right was the whole idea that I could plug my Stripe into indiehackers.com. And then now immediately you can sort of like look at all these other projects, and it's not just people sharing, hearsay that they've reached whatever level of revenue. You can actually see their revenue chart, and it's verified by Stripe. That I think they got really right, and that was sort of like the one of the one of the cornerstones of the build in public movement. Also Baremetrics, because they allowed you to make your MRR charts public. So I remember Buffer started doing that back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago, something like that. And that was so cool to see, like, proper big SaaS company doing real amounts of revenue, and you can see like all of their growth charts. It's really cool. So yeah, I wish that it was like this for everyone who wanted to participate in build in public, but I think it's just the definition has become a little bit lost over time.
I think you recently tweeted a little bit of criticism of building in public, in that someone copied your product almost exactly, and you said something along the lines of, so much for building in public, someone copied Bannerbear almost exactly, or like a long-term follower copied it or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the downside, obviously, of building in public, is that if we're talking about building in public as in sharing your financials, then yeah, the moment you have something that's making money, and if your audience is other developers, you just put two and two together. Obviously, someone's going to try to, make a similar product. So, I mean, I think that would happen regardless of whether you're building in public. Someone will eventually find your product, and there'll be a developer, and they'll think, oh, I want to have a go at making something like this too. Building in public just accelerates that, I think, a little bit, or a lot. And yeah, it's just something that you have to kind of like, if you're out there on Twitter and you're sharing your product with people, even if you're not sharing financials, there's so many developers these days, and there's so many people who have this desire to escape from, the 9 to 5, that copycats are kind of inevitable. The only reason, and Bannerbear has a lot of competitors. I wouldn't call them all copycats. That's a bit self-centered. That's a bit egotistical. Some of them have a very different approach, which is cool. Some of them are sort of a bit more like enterprisey, which is cool because we don't really go after that space. But the one that you're talking about was made by someone that I know, or I definitely recognize his name. We've had conversations in the past. He's been on my Twitter for a number of years, and it was the product. There are parts of the product that are actually identical, and I'm not actually exaggerating. They copy and pasted from my website into their website, so that was sad to see. But like I said, you're going to have competitors whether you like it or not, and if you're going to be building in public, there's a lot of people who want to build stuff now, and sometimes they take your idea and make it into their own, and that's cool. But sometimes they'll just take your idea and put a different logo on top, and then you have to kind of just deal with that.
So how many, given that you are now so bullish on marketing, how many marketers do you have on your team? And generally, what's your marketing strategy these days? What are you focusing on?
Well, we probably need to tweak our strategy a little bit because we haven't really changed anything for the last.
Let's tweak it right now.
2 years. Okay, good. So we have 2 full-time content marketers on the team. That's it. So all we do is write, blog content, and our blog content serves 2 purposes basically. One is as in we write 2 different types of content. One type of content is a little bit more sort of, I guess, keyword heavy, and it's kind of like to attract developers to our site. So we write content about FFmpeg, and we write content about Puppeteer, and these are both technologies that are sort of like under the hood of Bannerbear. So so those actually do very well on Google. Like if you type, if you're having some problem with FFmpeg or with Puppeteer, then you may stumble across some of our content. In fact, someone showed me that we're the #1 result for something general, like how to use webhooks. And we have an article about webhooks. And I was actually surprised that like GitHub has a similar article and we're above them or something. So that's one pillar of content that we write. And I think I'm pretty happy with that, actually. I think that is, those types of articles are actually getting us a lot of clicks from Google. Maybe not so relevant, but we like getting Google traffic in general. I've always said to the team, like, it's too difficult to think about, are we getting the right kinds of Google traffic? For now, let's just get Google traffic. We want people coming in from Google. We're a small team. Let's not get too complicated. So, and then the other type of content that we write is, I would put it under the umbrella of exciting ways to use Bannerbear. So we just want to show people how they can use it. It's like more like tutorials for like, here's an interesting way that you can use our product. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So it's more like educational content for Bannerbear itself. And that's basically all we do. There's 2 types of content. The first one gets people in from Google. The second one is basically to, it's for people to sort of digest and understand how to use Bannerbear. And ideally, they sort of like start a free trial and try one of these tutorials. And if they like what they see, then they sign up for the product.
Yeah, I also noticed that you started building free tools, and you also tweeted that you are pivoting from content to free tools. So it's interesting that you only mentioned content right now, while you specifically said you're doing free tools.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot I said that. Yeah, I guess this is more just kind of this is partly gut feel and partly looking at our analytics. Like I said, we we've been doing the same thing for so long, and it's honestly it's harder and harder to come up with like articles that we can write. We've written every single FFmpeg and Puppeteer article that we can think of. And we've written a lot of Bannerbear tutorials now at this point. So it's like, okay, well, what else can we do? I think there's still some juice, to write that type of content. But I'm just also thinking, when you look at our analytics, our free tools get tons of traffic, tons. So the number one page on our website is, the page that gets the most traffic from Google is, XYZ free generator. It's like a free certificate generator tool.
Real estate banner generator. This one stood out for me. Real estate banner generator. This is so specific.
Yeah. So some of them are really specific, and that one is more like a tech demo that I kind of want real estate customers to see and look at and be like, oh, okay, maybe we should use this for our real estate platform or something. Then others are purely for to get us Google traffic. Like the free certificate generator gets tons of Google traffic. I don't know what people are using it for. It's like they're using it for some kind of like online school they had or something. I'm not really sure. But the thinking behind pivoting to free tools is basically to enhance those. So right now they're really simple. You can't edit the templates. You've got, 4 or 5 templates to choose from. So what if we took those, made them like 10 times more useful, write content to support these tools, how to use it and what to do if you want more, sign up for Bannerbear and you can do tens of thousands of certificates, because actually we limit the amount that you can use it per day on the free tool. It's like you can create like up to 10 per day or something. And then other types of content around to just get us more of this search traffic. Like what makes a good certificate? The top 10 most, the top 10 most well-designed certificates in the world, or I don't know. But the thinking would be to, number one, enhance our current free tools, adding content, making them more useful. And then just think up, what other crazy free tools can we create?
Free tools are an absolutely amazing way to get traffic from Google. Here at Ahrefs, our top pages in terms of search traffic are tools. I think especially Backlink Checker. It is bringing us an insane amount of search traffic. And I have a whole story about that, where we originally had just a simple landing page for Backlink Checker, just saying at Ahrefs, we have a Backlink Checker, see your backlinks, here's the sign up button. And we ranked number 8, and no matter what we did, we didn't rank any higher. And we noticed that pages that rank higher than us are just free tools where people put in website URL and click check backlinks. We were like, okay, we didn't change anything on the page, just the input form and check backlinks. Bam! It immediately shot up to number 1. And for the past, 3 years since we've done it, it is just collecting. Well, also, I do think we genuinely deserve to be number 1 for check backlinks query, because I don't think anyone does it better than Ahrefs, so it is kind of well-deserved. But then again, people love free tools. But the thing is, with Backlink Checker, there's a ton of search demand for it, and we know it, because we have a keyword research tool. For your free tools, for example, real estate banner generator, I honestly didn't manage to check this keyword in Ahrefs to see if it has any search volume. But do you check for search volume, or do you randomly generate ideas? Let's do a generator for this and that.
I should be using Ahrefs way more than I currently am for this kind of ideating. But I would say that it's quite random right now. So the free tools generator, the generator tools, which are, if you highlight the demos on our website, there's 2 sections. One is like more kind of like technology demos. It's like we're kind of just showing you what Bannerbear can do. And then there's another section which is, yeah, those are the actual free tools where it's literally just you can use this thing, you get some benefit from it, and it's just free. Those are really hard to come up with, and it's kind of been a little bit of guesswork, a little bit of intuition over the years, because not all types of media, like images and PDFs, not everything is. You don't need a free tool for everything. Something like certificates is good because it's the same template, and you need to put a different name in it, and maybe some other different text, maybe a signature. You can see that being something that people need to do over and over again, and they would appreciate a free tool for. But then other things is, people other things people don't need as frequently. So it's really hard to ideate those. But yeah, I should be probably using Ahrefs to help me with that.
Another cool thing I noticed on Bannerbear is your alternatives page, and you pitched it quite nicely on your Twitter. Like, I've been resisting this for a while, but here we go, Bannerbear alternative page. Tell me more about it.
I think I tweeted this the day after that. I think it's always a good idea to take some kind of frustration that you have with the world and turn it into like something self-promotional or something to promote your business. It's always good to take things that you're passionate about and use that energy in a positive way for your business, I think. So I really hate those competitor like side-by-side comparison pages. I think if they're done by a third party, then okay, like that maybe that kind of makes sense. And if it's the third party's job to keep everything up to date and be very objective about things and not not opinionated about it, then maybe it makes sense. But if you're on a product's website and they're saying, well, you could use our product or you could use this other product, and here's the list of features. I just find them so hilarious. It's all cherry picked and it's all completely out of date. And I mean, I know that for SEO they're great. So, it's one of those. It's like a weapon that you can choose to use or not. They're brilliant for SEO. They're brilliant for getting people who never even heard about you onto your website because they're looking at a competitor and they want to know what else is out there. So as a tool that you can use, they're highly effective, but I just don't really like morally or ethically believe in them or don't want to play that game basically. So yeah, I just had the idea of let's do a competitor page, but instead of comparing, well, we render images in 2 seconds and they render images in 3.5 seconds. Instead of doing, stuff like that, I just thought, well, we have a bear and they don't have a bear, and our website is yellow and theirs is blue, or just kind of like maybe we'll get a little bit of the search traffic back from people Googling for Bannerbear alternatives. That would be nice. And then also maybe they land on the page and they have the same sense of humor as us, and then they choose us over a competitor. That was the thinking behind it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. First of all, I love this because we did a very similar thing with Ahrefs versus SEMrush and Ahrefs versus Moz page. We basically have a page to target both queries. But yeah, I think people who are not leveraging the alternatives pages, the comparison pages, are missing out because people are searching for them, and you can get this traffic to your website. But then it's your choice. If you want to go the heavily biased side-by-side comparison and like try to portray yourself in the best light while cherry picking the features and parts of their product that are inferior, then it's your choice. But there's another way, and again, you're another example that another way. Yeah, like you said, people might not get the actual comparison that they might have been looking for, but they get your personality, they get your attitude, they get your ideology that I'm not going to stomp on my competitors and portray myself, especially since I'm biased. But like if you get my sense of humor, maybe like we are meant to be together. What do you think of growth hacking, by the way? I remember there's some video, I think, from 8 years ago or something where you were given some kind of... Oh, no, you also wrote a handbook on growth hacking and you were selling it, right?
Yeah, long time ago.
So what do you think about growth hacking today?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like growth hacking was always a sort of kind of loose term. Nobody really knows exactly what it means. It's just sort of a combination of marketing savvy, analytics, coding ability, and using those kind of like three skills to grow a product. So I think I think the comparison page is a good example of a growth hack. It's something that you know from your analytics or from your research that it's going to get a certain amount of traffic, and then it comes down to like how do you implement it and how quickly can you ship it. So I shipped that in a couple of hours. I just in my backlog it was marketing week, make a competitor page. Okay, what kind of competitor page are we going to do? We're going to do a serious one, or we're going to do a funny one? Do a funny one, and then all of the components for the page itself, the HTML components, it's all been built already because I've built the website to have kind of like a framework of these components that we can reuse. So then it just comes down to writing the copy and shipping it. So I would say that that's a sort of a growth hack. But yeah, the term is so kind of loose. It's like everyone's sort of doing a bit of growth hacking here and there. But yeah, I would just say it's any time that you're using some marketing savvy plus a bit of your tech ability in order to get more traffic or increase your conversion rate. That's growth hacking. I feel like these days there's a lot more people working in these spaces. You'll have a lot more people in the marketing team and a lot more people in the technology team. But 20 years ago, it was a bit more, I guess it was more hybrid, or you would have just less people working in the tech team and less people working in marketing. So you kind of had to do, I don't know, not to say that people aren't creative now, but I feel like there's a lot more people thinking about it now. And back in those days, I don't know, you just had to, and you had less tools to work with. So you had to sort of do, you had to grow the product basically any way you could with the very simple tools that you had back, 20 plus years ago. But I think essentially these days, what we're all doing is growth hacking. Anytime you come up with the red button to get feedback so that you can, the ugly red button to get feedback that's a growth hack for sure. You could have made it look nice. You could have designed the button in a way that fits the page, but the fact that you made it ugly is it's kind of a growth hack, isn't it? Yeah.
ChatGPT rappers. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of like a meme these days. So how do you feel about all those? Because with OpenAI, with those APIs, it becomes, well, I'm not an engineer, but I would still say it becomes quite easy to launch some simple products. And I think people are launching them at a crazy pace. So what do you think? What do you think of all that space? How easy it is? Like, how? What am I trying to ask? How plausible it is that someone building a ChatGPT wrapper would eventually be successful as a company? Probably that is my question.
Yeah. I mean, with OpenAI APIs and the various other technical solutions we have around LLMs and AIs these days, it's faster and faster to make something that's actually useful, that you could actually conceive a customer paying for. So I think in that sense, it's really cool. It just means that really, the more we go down this road, the challenge becomes, how do you market this thing, and how do you get people interested in this thing? How do you get people to find it? How do you get people to choose you over the 50 other companies that do kind of the same thing? So it just means that, having an opinion, having a sense of design, having something that makes you unique is just going to become more and more important. I don't know the difference between any of these sort of chatbot GPT things that you're supposed to plug into your website and then it replaces your support or whatever. I don't know the difference between any of them. I haven't used any of them yet, but the challenge just becomes, how do you stay unique, and how do you be unique, and how do you get people to notice you? It's great for OpenAI. I mean, they're the ones charging you for every API call. But personally, I'm not looking to build a business around these types of. I've always felt from the very beginning that if I want to start a business, if I want to start a software company, we have to have our own IP, and it has to be. I mean, you can obviously, everyone uses open source, and we leverage a lot of open source, of course. But ultimately, the product that we're building that customers are using is our own IP. There's nobody that can sort of one day just cut us off and boom, we're out of business. So that's one reason why personally I'm not going to be playing with, ChatGPT APIs, not for anything too serious. We'll definitely use it to enhance our products where it's appropriate, but building an entire business off the back of it, I think it's risky, and your moat becomes how good are you at marketing.
So how bullish are you in terms of integrating AI features into Bannerbear? Because again, since your tagline says automate and scale your marketing, you want to automate as much of the work as possible. And for example, since people need to create copy for their banners, I guess the most obvious feature that comes to my mind is a button kind of suggest alternatives. So someone who's maybe not a professional copywriter would write what they want to say on the banner, and your button quickly generates 3 alternatives for them in different styles, and then they pick the one they like. Or it rewrites it automatically. So they say what they want to say, and then banners go out with versions of that copy that they send to Facebook for A/B tests and whatnot. Do you plan any AI features of that kind?
Yeah, I mean, the potential's there, but I mean, honestly, none of our customers have ever asked for it. So either we be going after a different market if we introduce those kind of features, or we just be completely barking up the wrong tree. I mean, our customers need deterministic outputs. They need to have a set of data, and they push that data to us, and then they want their banners to represent what that data said. For there to be some sort of black box in the middle that means that the customers get the outputs, and it's either it's what they expected, better than they expected, or worse than they expected, I don't think it's quite what our customers are looking for. It might make for a fun free tool, but in terms of what our core product does, which is API driven image generation, our customers need like deterministic outputs. So yeah, it doesn't quite go on.
What about yourself and your marketers? Are you using any AI or any AI based tools to solve your marketing tasks?
No, actually, and same goes for customer support. I think where I want to, where I want to be unique, where I want the company to be unique is I want it to be human, and I want it to be 100%, written by people. Customer support is a real person. And I feel like that is, that's one of our value propositions is, we're a bunch of real people. I never want, to interact with a support bot ever. Like whether it's with the bank or whether it's with a SaaS product that I use, I want there to be a real person. I know that other companies use bots and they have to because they have a different level of scale than we do. But at our scale, we can do it like with real people and it's manageable. So I want that. I want it to always be like that.
Yeah, I find it hard to integrate AI in our own marketing workflows. I just cannot get it to create a result which I would be happy with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last question. You have a sizable audience on Twitter and you often get a lot of engagement and you often have fairly spicy takes. So how many times, if at all, did you get in trouble on Twitter for saying something which would, I don't know, generate rage from people? I mean, maybe to the point of you wanting to delete this tweet or even deleting this tweet? Because Twitter is quite a hostile place. Or at least in the SEO industry, it is.
The battlefield of the SEO industry, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe indie hackers are just more polite people. I don't know.
More chill. Yeah. I think that's part of it. I think that indie hackers are like, it's sort of like we're all we can relate to one another. Everyone's sort of like trying to build something, and we're all kind of developers, and we've all got similar skill sets. So I think because we're all quite relatable to one another, then there's not as much rage. I do feel like my role on Twitter is to try to entertain people. It's not to like make people angry. So that's underlying every tweet is like, I'm trying to be funny, or I'm trying to say something sarcastic that other developers will laugh at, or I'm sharing some good news, or I'm sharing some bad news, and from that there's like a lesson to be learned, or I do see it as like I'm there to like entertain people. So it would be quite rare for me or quite unusual for me to like say something, provocative that gets like people angry and makes me want to delete the tweet.
Nice. Well, hopefully from this interview, which would be exposed to people in the SEO community, you will get some followers, and hopefully this would be the politest people in the SEO space that would follow you. Thanks a lot for the interview. It has been great to catch up and dig a little bit deeper into what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Tim.